Hi, if you are a writer, filmmaker like myself, or any kind of artist in general, chances are there were probably someone once told you that how unrealistic your career path is, or how you didn't born the right time, or into the right family, or you didn't have the right connection. In today's video, I want to chat about how that might be impact on your day-to-day creative life and your career. Before I start, today's video is going to be another coffee chat, which means I won't put any insert in this video. It will be more like a visual podcast. You can put me in the background when you're doing chores, when you're doing some things that you don't really need to use your brain. In that way, you can get things done while having this conversation with me. Okay, yeah, go grab your coffee and then let's start the chat. So for the previous scenario that I mentioned, each time when you have that kind of conversation with someone, you might feel not being understood or feel discouraged, and you might feel alone. But I'm pretty sure this is a very universal thing, that it's kind of inevitable each time when we are making some progress or doing something meaningful. We will experience a certain form of resistance from outside world as well as within ourselves. I think this largely because we are human, we do have ego, and our society is largely built based on fear. I think we probably experience very similar conversation with different people. If you want to, you can leave a comment down below to share a little bit about what kind of conversation you have experienced. In that way, when we read each other's experience, we might not feel as alone, and then we can encourage each other a little bit. So if you don't know me yet, my name is Nani. I'm a writer-director based in Los Angeles. I've mentioned this kind of experience, outside resistance, in my channel several times before. I'm going to make it short here. So I grew up in a very conservative environment. There were some artists, but it's not an environment made for film industry. In fact, we were so far away from those big cities where the filmmaking industry were. It kind of feel the people who work in the film industry, those filmmakers and those actors, they were godlike figures. They were some people who is above there, that's not ordinary. Since I was a kid, I expressed my love of storytelling, how I want to be a filmmaker. The resistance I experienced mainly from my family, not because they don't love me, but because they do have their fear of my loss. Then they would tell me things like, we are ordinary people, you don't have connection. If you want to chase film industry, who is going to help you connected with those people who is already working filmmakers? Do you know how much it's going to cost to make a movie? Do you know how much it's going to cost to become a filmmaker? In general, it's about either money or about connection. And it took me a long time with a lot of tears and arguments to convince my parents that I'm going to go on this filmmaking career path. I moved to the US on my own by myself, and I didn't know anybody back then here, and I didn't have anything to do with this whole film industry. Luckily, I was able to go to film school, but in the school, everybody is kind of green, kind of new to the industry as well. So we learn and study together. We're making really cheesy little short films together, and that's where basically I started. And then now I have made my first feature film, made some small connections to the independent film industry and some film festivals. And then during this process, I feel it was such a slow and a gradual process of building stuff up from have nothing to now kind of level up a little bit, have a little bit understanding of what this industry is and have people I can go to if I'm going to make another film in the future, and then knowing who I can send my screenplay to read. All of those things weren't exist in 2014 when I just started this whole journey. So when people say you need connection to make it in this industry, I agree, but you do not need connection to start. In fact, you build your connection gradually. The people who around me that I knew, my mentor, the people who have done a lot more work, have been in the industry more years than I did, they pretty much all have something in common, is they were starting from a place that almost near to zero, or it is zero, and then they learn, produce, create, make friends, learn, produce, create, make friends, and gradually building up this whole momentum and then build up their connection. Yes, eventually you do need some connections to help you get more exposure, to get more opportunity, someone to lift you up. But people can't really help you or lift you if you have nothing to offer. You have to have a series of work that represents your vision. You have to give people a reason to help you. Yes, connection is helpful, but it's not the fundamental. I feel a lot of times people's fear are making them focus on something that's not the priority, that's not as urgent and important as just practice and making the craft, building up your portfolio. And as you going on the journey of building up your portfolio, that's when the connections start gradually build, because people do value good work. Another kind of comment may sound like this, that you might born into a wrong timing. Nowadays, people are more value a screenplay or a film that can sell instead of a real good story, which the market does have its shift, that unfortunately a lot of time things are financial focused, but that doesn't mean that we can't make our way. Sometimes you might think because you don't know any big actors or actress, even you have a great story, nobody's going to be in the film that can help you gain the attraction. Then why bother to work on your craft to write good story? But that's not necessarily true. From my conversation with a lot of other filmmakers, what I learned is that this industry is lacking of great screenplay, and then good screenplays always appreciate. There's more and more fellowships, screenwriting contests, film festivals, all kinds of different grants that's developed and then set up for discovering new filmmakers in order to help them and lift them up. There are a lot of big actors and actresses, celebrities, willing to work on independent film for nothing if they like the screenplay. If you keep working on your craft and then get your work polished by going to fellowships, screenwriting contests, things like that, and then build friendship from there, and then get those people to help you, give you suggestions and make your story even better. During those process, you never know when the opportunity will come, and somebody might set up a connection for you to an actor, or you might be able to reach out on your own, like what I did for my first feature film, to their agent and then to pitch your project. And you never know, they might just like your screenplay and are willing to work on your project. So my first feature film, one of my leading actors, she is my dream actress for that story. I wrote the screenplay based off thinking about her. She didn't know me. She didn't even know I exist. I was encouraged by my another leading actress over and over to email her agent, and then she decided to read the screenplay, and then from there I start build that connection, and then eventually she said yes to my screenplay and willing to play the leading role in my film. So you never know what's going to happen. But one thing is guaranteed, if I never had the screenplay, I had nothing as a leverage to contact her, and then she will never talk to me. So if you ever experience the outside resistance, I think the best way to deal with it is to understand where it came from, understanding other people's fear and their discouragement. And it's never anything personal. It's not about our ability or how we're born. It's their opinion. But I think the scarier thing is the resistance within myself. After this 8 years of working and pursuing in this industry, I noticed that my mind is just as conditioned as my outside resistance is. Even though I moved to this country, I kind of work in an environment with like-minded people. None of those people that around me are discouraging you. Everybody are pursuing something that they fear of, but they have a passion towards too. We kind of encouraging each other constantly, but somehow I'm still feel discouraged. A lot of time I experience lots of self-sabotage, fear and doubts. They come in the form of procrastination, come in the form of randomly giving up opportunities that's right in front of me. It's almost like I have a fear of make my dream come true, which that was very ironic. Sometimes I feel the struggle of being consistent, staying creative is much bigger and much difficult challenge than the craft itself, which is very strange, and it took me several years of time to finally gradually recognize the internal voice behind those self-sabotaging decisions. Then it took me another several years to try to gradually learn to start managing them. And now I'm at a place that's much easier for me to manage myself and my mind than 3 years ago. For example, I have been doing my daily writing every single day for, I don't know, about over a month now, even on my birthday and on the weekend. It didn't really take me as much willpower and effort than before. It more of come as a habit now. It seems effortless that I can write every single day, even with the day job, even write on the day of my birthday, on the weekend, but it didn't come naturally. It was a long process of struggle. Since I started pursuing this, writing daily has been something I want to do, and I've been trying many times. I've been consistently write for 30 days before, but after I accomplished to certain points, I took a break and I never be able to go back again. I never felt this way like recently writing become my second nature. It become the first thing I'm thinking of doing when I woke up, and I feel that's really just like a habit now. But it takes a lot of try and error. That's because even nobody's saying anything to me, my mind sometimes think that I don't deserve the success. I am ordinary, I'm not going to be working in the film industry successfully. Those thoughts were things that people told me, my family told me before, but they were conditioned in my mind because they were make sense to me until I keep calling them out during this journey. At one point, they start not making sense to me. And one thing I feel very helpful is to read other filmmakers' bio, other writers' bio, to check out how they made their way up, how they become successful in the industry that you want to be in. Chances are majority of them never had the connection. A lot of them come from mid-class family. If you have access to the internet, you have a computer, you have a cell phone, you probably at a good starting point. But there were two things that you will discover about those filmmakers that's in common. Is one, they constantly create, they constantly perfect their craft. They constantly trying to figure out how to make the story better. They study and watching films and keep learning. And then second, they never stop. Even they were struggling, even there were procrastination. I remember Aaron Sorkin was talking about how he couldn't write for the entire year, even though he's one of the best screenwriter. And I remember also listened to a lecture of the screenwriter of Taxi Driver, whole half years of block that he was just incapable of writing anything. And then those are very universal experience. And then the thing that's in common with those writers is that they weren't letting those bad experience to stop them. And all they do is to just keep going and keep going until the momentum come back again. So that being said, despite the fact that there is outside resistance and the internal resistance, I want to share with you what other things I find very helpful for me, and then what the things that helped me to at least get to the point of creating consistently, working consistently. And then that's also the tagline of this YouTube channel. It's also something I always remind myself constantly is be patient, be present, and then stay creative. Now I'm going to break down what I mean. First, be patient. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with maybe the people who is a little bit negative around you. Understand it's not just outside force, but also our mind is creating the resistance, and then that's part of nature. And in fact, I really like something Steven Pressfield said: the more meaningful the thing that you want to do, the stronger resistance you're going to feel. So have a patience towards yourself to really slowly learn and understand where are those resistance come from. What incident that might happen in your childhood, or what kind of environment you grew up that make you believe certain thing in certain way. Each time when you're making a self-sabotage decision or you procrastinate, instead of not having patience and beat yourself up, really sit down, maybe journaling about it, to trying to understand what's the fear behind this action. What is actually driving you to making this decision that you don't want to make? I think if you have the access, therapy is really helpful. If not, doing some journaling is probably the best thing you can do, especially doing morning page. Sometimes you might just vomit out all the struggles and feelings onto the page, and then the clue might be there on the page that will gradually help you build that understanding. And somehow once you expose them, they don't have as much impact on you anymore. And the more repetition on the exposure, the less impact it will give you. So definitely be patient with yourself, understanding where the fear come from. And then the second is be present. Be present is about remembering why you want to go on this journey. I'm sure most of us want to go on this journey because we experience the inspiration at one point in our life, and then that excites us, or we have had those flow moments when we write, when we create, and we just like that feeling of being in the zone, that forgetting about time, forgetting about where you are, even it's so hard to get to that point, but we do want to experience that again. So if that's the case, just constantly remind yourself that's what you want to achieve. Be in the present to trying to learn and then figure out ways to guide yourself, go into the zone, to guide yourself to get inspired. I mentioned times in my channel before, like watching movies, read novels, kind of submerge yourself into things that's inspiring, submerge yourself into things that was the reason that you started this to begin with. Instead of looking things that's so far away ahead of you, think about things that what might be happen 10 years from now. Will I make it? Will I be successful 10 years from now? Because those thoughts are not present, and then they are very anxiety provoking because it's so far away from now. The distance creating a lot of fear. And then one thing also very helpful for being present, I find, and surprisingly find, is that having a day job actually helps. If you can figure out a way to find a routine that's staying creative while you're having a day job. Having that financial stability kind of helped you to stay in the moment, being focused on your craft instead of looking something far away from you. There was a study about entrepreneurship, which is kind of like being an artist and a filmmaker, that if you have a day job, there are 33% more likelihood that you're going to be success in whatever creative field or business that you're trying to create. It's because the financial stability help you grounded and focus on the now, focus on your craft, focus on the thing that you really care and want to work on in the moment, and then slowly build up the momentum for the potential future people so-called overnight success. I don't believe overnight success, but I do believe long-term building up for the potential overnight success, if that makes sense. And then the third thing is staying creative, because the whole point of going on this journey is about creativity, and then being creative can really help you build up the confidence and the momentum that make you feel you are doing something that close to your heart, something that keep you on the right path. So if you can find a way to make being creative as a habit, no matter it's writing each day, doodling each day, any form of creativity thing that you like to do, even just for 10 minutes, if you can make that into a habit, I promise you, you will feel the difference very fast, sooner than you think. That you will feel the confidence boost. You'll feel you gradually want to do more instead of just 10 minutes, and you somehow just feel you're on the right path and so confident, and you know you are going to make it. And then that's where the momentum starts. So be patient, be present, stay creative. Okay, I hope today's video is helpful or inspired you in some way. And if you are interested in learning about how to get discovered or how to start building that connection while you're working on your craft, you can check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, be patient, be present, stay creative. I'll see you next week. Bye. Pew.